Can't get enough of Kelly and Ramya?
We're now on YouTube for you to indulge in highlights from our show. And we get into the Chatty Bookshelf. This is when we can talk audiobooks with Ryan Hooey, and today he's got a special guest. Let's bring him on.
Who knew an entire library could fit inside your pocket? I'm Ryan Hooey. This is the Chatty Bookshelf, where we talk audiobook trends, news, and author interviews.
Ryan, I'm going to hand it right over to you because we're excited about the conversation we're about to have.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me again. Before we begin, I usually try to squeeze in a shout out at the end, but I just wanted to say I absolutely love my little girl. It's her birthday. She's turning 4 on Sunday. Happy birthday, Abby. Continue being curious and continue loving those books. So
Happy birthday,
all
Abby.
the best, and I can't wait to spend it with you.
Nice.
All right, guys, her third appearance. Every June, she joins us, and I love it. We're going to talk about her new, soon-to-be Canadian bestseller, The Revenge List. Guys, help me welcome in. Give a big Chatty Bookshelf welcome to Hannah Mary McKinnon. How are you, Hannah?
I'm really well. It's so great to be here. Thank you. Thank you, all three of you. Thank you very much for having me back for a third time, and happy birthday, Abby.
I can't believe you keep coming back. I guess you like us, huh? You keep putting up with us?
I love you three. Absolutely, yes.
All right, guys, use that as my new doorbell then, I think.
Good idea.
All right, so you know what, Hannah? I usually start off with one particular question, but I want to do something a little different here. So what is the buildup to a new release? So this is, it's a whirlwind, I'm sure, but what's going on right now? What's going on in the buildup and what are like the final prep stages? Like what goes on through your mind when you're just about to release something like The Revenge List?
It's exciting, and it's always incredibly daunting because you never know exactly how a book will land, and you just cross your fingers that the majority of your audience will enjoy it, because of course you can never please everyone, and nor should you try, but you just hope that the majority of people will like your characters and understand what you were trying to do with the story, I guess.
Well, congratulations on another successful launch based on social media and some of the things I've seen. But if you don't know, I'll tell you, I know exactly where all your books are heading. And that's the Canadian bestsellers list. Here's the question I always start with. So for those viewers and those listeners that haven't heard of The Revenge List, can you give us the quick 1-minute synopsis and avoid some spoilers, because we want everybody to go out there and pick it up?
Absolutely, with pleasure. So The Revenge List is a story about an anger management group therapy exercise gone horribly, horribly wrong. Frankie lands in anger management therapy after an altercation with her client and an argument with her boss, who's also her dad. She's tasked with writing a forgiveness list, a list of people who have wronged her in the past, whom she could work to forgive. She doesn't want to forgive any of them, and when she loses the list, she's not overly worried until they start having, we'll just call them accidents of increasing intensity and danger. And the trouble is, her name is on the list, and she put it there because her past self is the one person she can never forgive. And so now she is in big, big trouble.
That's the part I love most, was that name on the list. So what part did you have the most fun with?
I think it was really plotting the book, thinking about all of these people who had a prominent spot on Frankie's forgiveness list, because that's how she writes it, not as a revenge list. And thinking, well, what could they possibly have done? Because that allowed me to really develop a character. Why would you hold a grudge against someone for 20 years? What did they do to you? And what does that do to you to hold a grudge for that long? And what happens when they have an accident? Somebody that you don't care for. Do you feel bad? Do you feel somewhere between bad and happy? Or do you feel bad for feeling happy? So it was a lot of complicated emotions for Frankie to work through. It was fun.
And you know what? That's where you and I differ. I don't know that I could do the whole emotional thing. I know it's so important, all of the books I've listened to over the years, but I would kind of look at it and be like, how much gore can I put in this? How much action can I get in this scene? And there'd be like no downtime. I would be like, oh goodness. Speaking of that, I've wanted to ask you this for years, and I didn't, and I'm just coming out with it now. But
Sure.
who's the most? And we're police and authorities. If you're listening, we solely mean in her writing, but who's the most fun to murder in your books? Is it the sweetheart? Is it the villain? Is it that character that's kind of on the hot trail but always seems to be a step behind? Who do you have the most fun with there?
I think it's the character that hopefully my readers would expect the least to have something happen to them, because it's unexpected and it throws a wrench in the whole story potentially. Plot twist. So I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with the one that readers hopefully expect the least.
Fair enough. And I guess you could interchange those, right? I mean, it could be the sweetheart if you don't expect. Yeah. So that, okay, I see where it's okay. I'm learning the craft a little bit. So this story was really creative, and you touched on it a little bit before, but can you fill us in on a little bit of the freak accidents? Like, what were those like writing? What were they, what was going through your mind? How did you come up with them? Was it just happenstance, or how did those come about?
Well, so the accidents or the incidents start off, they can be easily brushed off as coincidences or accidents, not something that somebody is actually doing to harm somebody. So I don't want to give too much away, but the first one is somebody slipping on their front steps when the handrail comes off. It happens all the time. Building might not be maintained properly or whatever the situation is. But then these incidents increase in intensity and danger. So I really had to think about, okay, so what could I pick that could still be brushed off as an accident, but then after a few of these happen, Frankie really can't convince herself that there isn't somebody targeting these people on her forgiveness list and might be coming for her. So there was a lot of thinking involved, a lot of plotting, and I love to plot. So it was a lot of fun to try and figure out what was going to happen to these fictional characters. Because of course, nobody real ever gets hurt in my books, of course.
Well, and they were so sneaky. That's the thing. As you say, they kind of got a little bit more of this and that, but I was just shocked at how sneaky, because I wasn't expecting one, and it would pop out of the corner. I'm like, oh, okay, wow.
Oh, good.
But you know what? The narration, top notch. Lauren Izzo does such a great job. There's so many different emotions, so many different feelings and different things that she does, and she really just brightened everything. Not that your writing needs it, but what was it like the first time hearing her kind of run through it, even if it was just a rough draft?
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I think Lauren is incredible. The first book she narrated for me was Sister Dear, and that was my 2020 release. And I remember listening. Now, some authors do not listen to their audiobooks, and I always do, because at that point the book isn't mine anymore. It belongs to them. It is their performance of sure, they're my words, but the performance belongs to them. It is exclusively theirs. And I just find it so fascinating to hear the intonation and the emotion and the range, the range of voices that she does too. And I was out walking as I was listening to Sister Dear, and I tripped. I didn't actually fall, but I did trip because she surprised me, which was really funny, because it wasn't like I didn't know what was coming. I'd written the thing, but I still tripped over my own feet because I was just surprised at what happened. And I've worked with her ever since. This is my third one now that we've worked on together, with hopefully more to come. I think Lauren is incredible. If you haven't listened to her work, it doesn't have to be mine. She's narrated so many books. Go check them out, because she really is an absolutely phenomenal voice actor. She truly is.
And that's what I don't want to say is shocking, because that would be the wrong word, but I was shocked at the repertoire that she has on just Audible, and I'm sure there's more even out there. It was just wonderful, and she really gives that voice to Frankie. And to me, Frankie seems like a very difficult character to voice, not in a bad way, just there's so many different emotions there, and you really get a sense of who she is within the first 2 chapters. and then it sets the whole entire tone for the book, and that's what it drew me in right away. And I love that part. And it's funny because Audible has this as their teaser, the first anger management meeting, and just Frankie's demeanor and the entire thing is just it's fantastic. And the more we speak about Frankie, she's such a angry but sarcastic character, but yet you leave her so vulnerable. So did she develop with the drafts, or was it kind of this is how she's going to be and that's it, or was there changes along the way?
That's such a great question. It was a combination, really. I knew from the beginning she's in anger management, so she obviously has anger issues. Otherwise, she wouldn't be there. But it's a big ask to say to the reader or the listener, come along on this 8-hour or 9-hour audiobook or this 360-page book with an angry person. And it's also, frankly, exhausting to write somebody who's angry all the time. So I want to reassure everyone, Frankie is not angry for 9 hours straight or 360 pages straight. That would be terrible. But I always knew she would carry a certain amount of anger that she would really use to protect her true emotions. I also knew that she would have had things happen to her in the past and reasons for her being angry. That was really, really important for me, for people to understand that they might not like her because she does fly off the handle. She is short-tempered, and that's why she's in anger management. But I really hope that people will understand, even if they don't like her, that they'll say, I get it. I understand why she's angry. I might not act the way she does, but she's not me. So I understand that people react differently in certain situations, and that's why she's doing what she's doing. And besides, if she was lovely and happy and never had held a grudge or anything, the revenge list wouldn't exist.
Well, I hope the whirlwind has kind of calmed down. Thank you so much, Hannah. I have tons more questions, but we're out of time. So guys, go pick this up everywhere where audiobooks, ebooks, and everything are sold. Hannah, thank you so much. And we'll see you next June for another Canadian bestseller release. Thank you for joining us, Hannah.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Well, Ryan Hooey on the Chatty Bookshelf, along with Hannah Mary McKinnon, who returns to join us, and we love talking to her. So thanks for that. Check out her audiobooks available on Audible, as well as Sela. Shout out there. And that's the Chatty Bookshelf every Friday, where we talk all things audiobooks.
Thanks for watching.
You can catch Kelly and Ramya weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern on AMI.